Guys, so I'm going to tell you why setting up a business is not the solution to escaping this rat race we live in. Okay, um, now people like a guy I used to know, Brandon. I haven't spoken to him in a while. He speaks about how the best way to escape the rat race is to set up a business, and I don't really agree with that now that I've put some thought into it. Okay, so um, here's the thing: if you set up a business, you're still contributing to this whole system we have. Okay, so what does he want to do? He wants to set up a business and then hire people to work for him. So yeah, he's still sort of contributing to this economic system and keeping the thing running. And doing, he's contributing more to this system than he would be if he just worked a job for somebody else. Because when you set up your own business, you create jobs, and there's more jobs out there. Okay. Um, all right, so um, I believe that if you really want to escape um, this whole unethical capitalist world, you're better off to set up your own community, kind of off grid. All right, now in the modern world, that seems pretty outrageous, but years ago that would have been more normal. Okay, so now you could do that. Maybe move to the forest. There's a guy in the UK called My Frequencies. He's a YouTuber. I haven't seen too many of his videos. I've seen a couple, but what he done is he is quite interesting. He bought a plot of land in the forest and he built his own house out in the forest, a small little house. Now he must have knowledge in construction. I'd say he might have worked in construction. So yeah, working in construction is very beneficial when it comes to doing this. So yeah, you can do that. You can set up your own kind of community. I think that's what he's done. Um, you know, now I live in Ireland. I don't know if you're living in Ireland or elsewhere. But Ireland's not the best place to do that. Because only 10% of Ireland is covered in forest land. Most of the forests have been cut down. So while I read somewhere that, or I heard in a YouTube video, Ireland lost 1-0 at home to Luxembourg in soccer, and some people were going crazy over that result. And they said that Luxembourg, 66% of Luxembourg's land is covered in forest. Okay, so that's the thing. I think maybe move to mainland Europe, live in the forest. You know, uh, you might be better off just being semi off grid at first. Maybe if you don't know, if you're not very knowledgeable about food, catching wild food, preparing wild food for yourself, you might be better off to maybe even just work a part time job at a shop or something. Just make money, or if you've money saved up, then if you've loads of money saved up, you probably don't even need to work. But yeah, you can just maybe buy food from the supermarket, but also experiment, try to learn how to eat food from nature, without throwing up or anything, So yeah, I think that's the solution because it just feels like a very unethical world to me. I work at McDonald's, and as it was mentioned in the previous YouTube video that I watched, when you work a job, you're serving the rich, you're making the rich richer. Okay, that's what you are. The business owners are the kings, and you are the servant. I am a servant working at McDonald's, and the king is James Perry, and I'm making him richer. He might not even work at all. I don't know. I don't know what his schedule is, but he could take today off. I might not work at all today. Um, but he'd still be making money because guys like me are working for him. We're slogging away for his own benefit. Okay, so yeah, that's how it works. You know, uh, People say, I think Brandon said, um, "Oh, I want to make loads of money, so because I love the freedom that money brings." And I think he's actually being quite selfish here. Yeah, free bring freedom to himself, but he's not going to bring freedom to others. If you know what I mean. Because that's what these business owners do. It's very tempting to pay people to work for you, because if it's just a one man business or a one woman business, you're working, you're gonna have to work every day. You're gonna have to work long hours. But if you hire other people to work for you, then yeah, you kind of make your life easier, and they kind of make money for you. Okay. Um, like that guy Michael Biss, is that his name? He said he's worth 500,000. He's 22 years old. That's just ridiculous to have that amount of money at his age. I'd probably retire for it, you know. Um, but yeah, it is hard though. Don't get me wrong, it's hard. Um, most of these guys, they don't even get enough time to sleep. They're really living for the future. Michael Biss said he used to work, was it 8 or 9 hours a day as an airline engineer or something, and he trained for an hour and a half a day. He'd spend 6 hours working on his business. He get was it 4 or 5 hours of sleep, 4.5, 5 hours of sleep. Not even sleeping enough. He's that can lead to all kinds of problems. If you have a lack of concentration out there on the field, and when I'm in the field, I don't literally mean a grass field. It could be a grass field, but I mean like the workplace. Like I'm working with boiling oil. I could just doze off and my hand might slip into the boiling oil and my hand's burnt off. Do you know what I mean? So uh, yeah, I think more people should do this. More people should look into this. It's really the only way of kind of escaping this system. It's going to get worse with this whole coronavirus thing. Now, let's be honest. Coronavirus is clearly a hoax. The fact that people don't get this is just ridiculous. And it's meant to be like a wealth transfer. I think they want all the smaller businesses to go out of business. They want everyone working a job for somebody else. That's what the elites want. They want you working a job for somebody else. And that's the whole point. Is the whole modern education system. The modern day education system was set up in it's a product of the Industrial Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution, what happened was people made a massive switch. Before the Industrial Revolution, most people were farmers. Most people were self-employed. And if you're self-employed, well, you're not really serving the rich, if you know what I mean. So, the rich don't want that. So they set up the education system. What happened was they made rules which um, stated that children couldn't work in a factory until they reached a certain age, and then they decided to set up this education system where they would brainwash the children into working a job, into being subservient, into doing what you're told, so that you can be a good worker. Um, I don't know. Maybe maybe in the early days of the Industrial Revolution, when people started working jobs, maybe they weren't obedient enough. Maybe they fought for themselves too much. Maybe they argued with their employers, and they're like, "Well, I don't want this. We're gonna brainwash the everything shit at the population so that they will be obedient, subservient. They'll be afraid of losing their job, and they will want to work for us." Okay, and that's what they did. So they wanted to get this idea, get the whole self-employed idea out of your head and just come work for us in the factories and work 14 to 16 hours a day. Hey, and that's what they did. And I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. Okay, these business owners, uh, they're very selfish in that regard. So yeah, that's the thing. Human beings, we moved to agriculture. Was it 10 to 12,000 years ago? And up until then, society was egalitarian. We lived out in nature. And I feel like the reason we invented agriculture, the reason we moved to agriculture was for a more safe and predictable way of life. You wouldn't have to deal with fucking snakes and lions, bears, tigers out in nature. If you know what I mean. And you can have a more predictable food source, if you know what I mean. And I think that was the main reason we moved to agriculture. It wasn't to set up this um, unequal world, I think that was just a byproduct. I think it takes like thousands of years for a society to become highly unequal like it is now. And that's just the way it is. So someone's walking up the stairs. But anyway, so it's unfortunate that society has come to this. I would like a more egalitarian world, a more equal world. I am the victim of snobbery. When I was in when I was living in Carrickmines, in my estate and the estate beside me, the people were just so snobby, and they just seemed to view me as an inferior and shit. That's why I moved house. I could be living at my mother's house rent free, but I decided to move house and pay my own rent to get away from them. Okay, and I'm in a lot more, far more down to earth part of Dublin now, but still, I don't like that. Okay, and I would like a more egalitarian society. But I think human beings were just too unethical to really reach that state. Okay, it's hard to see anything changing as long as there's wealth, as long as there's power in the world. It's going to be used in an unethical manner.